Alright, what we have here is the different pieces of connectors and tubing that I purchased to make the solar panel bracket on the stern pulpit of my boat. We have bottom plate. Now what I have here is just half, the other half is in place to show you what it looks like. This is a bracket which I purchased from West Marine. It's actually a Magna barbecue bracket. This will be attached to this piece of aluminum which I purchased at Home Depot, and will be attached to this solar panel, screwed in across both sides like that. Cut the length. This will be attached. There's going to be another one on this side. So we have the quick release bracket. We have the 90-degree elbow, which will go on this piece of 5-foot steel tubing to create the U-shaped bracket that I'm going to put on the back of the boat. This is a piece of 7/8 tubing. 2 eyelet ends will go on that, which is going to be the support bracket, which will go diagonally, supporting the back side of the panel on the pole. To hold that in place, I have this sliding sleeve. The sliding sleeve will be connected to this elbow over here and attached by L bracket to the aluminum, which will be attached to the panel. To hold it in place, I have this clamping jaw bracket and these 2 eyelets or end caps, whatever you'd like to call them, that will be attached to the existing pulpit stanchions, which I will cut to make this work. Right here are the same components sitting in place. The bracket, quick release bracket, which was the grill bracket, to the 90, to the sliding sleeve piece, which can go up and down, and the metal support bracket, which will be attached to the panel. This will move up and down on here. This piece here is that clamp jaw, which will be attached to the stern pulpit. I'll cut it and put that on, and then of course at the bottom down here would be where the foot will go. In the next video sequence, I'll show you it in place on the boat. Okay, I've started the installation of the solar panel bracket on the boat. This is the stern pulpit. This side is the factory side, and this side here I've already cut the vertical section out, added my new bottom piece, and you can see where I cut it there, and I just have my other piece here just stuck in there loosely for now. I'm going to now cut this section out, top and bottom, same as I did there, and remove this plate. Now when I tried to remove it on the other side, I thought I was going through some fiberglass into some plywood, but I had a hard time removing the screws. The screws are slotted, and I purchased a large screwdriver, tried to turn them, couldn't do it. Heated them up with a torch, got a little bit of a turn out of them, decided just to cut them off with a grinder and cut them down flush, since the new plates are larger on the bottom. I didn't have to fill holes and all that, so I decided to do that. Also had the option of shifting it further over, which I didn't do. I'm going to go right over the existing holes, which I filled with epoxy, and then drilled out for the new bottom plate like I did here, and filled those holes with epoxies when I screwed it in. Now when I started to screw down into the stern here of the boat, I snapped the first screw. I had to take that out and drill in, and I hit a brass plate, I guess with the stern rear traveler here, they had to have something beefed up in there. So that had to be piloted and then tapped. Then I was able to screw through it. That's the only way I can get this side on. So I'm now going to go and do that here. Your boat could possibly have some kind of steel plate or brass plate in there, as this one did. So the next step, I'll be cutting this out and then adding the top cross section. Okay, I have here the whole completed installation of the solar panel system. Alright, so the top of the brackets for a magnet grill, and then in the piece I got a support piece in the back on the sliding sleeves attached to the stern pulpit with these connections here and down to the deck. It does work, and by loosening up these brackets I can tilt the panel up and down, and these slide up and down. I'm going to put thumb screws here instead of set screws so that it's easier to adjust. The only problem with this is that the pole here I made 5 feet long, and I'm going to have to cut it down because this thing, I mean, probably 10-15 miles an hour wind's going to break off the boat. So I'm going to have to cut it down to around this height. I wanted to get it up out of the way, but honestly, looking at it, if you're sitting inside, it's kind of an eyesore. So I'm going to lower it all the way down here for support versus running outriggers and supports to the down into the boat, which would be in the way of getting up on my ladder and just generally sitting in here and working on the motor. So I'm going to have to shorten the whole thing. Well, the concept works, but if you do something like this, you're going to have to either reinforce it or you're going to have to make it a lot lower. I'm going to lower it down now and then see how it looks. Okay, so I've cut 26 inches off these pipes, the vertical pipes, and the strength has increased a lot. It's not that bad. I would trust this probably to 20-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, the panel will be sitting somewhat in this direction, not like it's going to grab a lot of air, but there's still flexibility. The whole pulpit moves around. So, thinking of adding more bracing and possibly taking another 6 inches off of here. I may even have to cut these back pipes too, but let me try something. Okay, so I've added that angle brace there. It's just stuck underneath the rail here and pushed right into the cleat, just to get an idea if this additional support on the pulpit would help. And when I go to move it now, it's pretty rock solid. I'm actually moving the whole boat now. So I believe that's the answer to making this work properly. I just don't have the hardware, so it's temporary. But that's what I'm going to do to finish this off. And the only flexibility I have really left is this area here is flexing. So if I was to shorten that, like I said previously, probably would eliminate everything, but I may leave it. But I'm definitely adding that. So if you're considering doing this, you can't go that high unless you do a lot of crazy bracing, but for the expense, it's probably better off just buying something, because I think this cost me about $350, what you see here, plus the panel. But this works. Good luck.